My Lords, the question is that the amendment be agreed to. As many as are of that opinion will say content. Content. The contrary, not content. Not content. Clear the bar. My Lords, there have voted contents 366, not contents 268. So the contents have it.
Right, well, Parliament has done its duty. The Brexit debate was all about the sovereignty of Parliament. Parliament has now insisted that it has sovereignty, and it has won it. And for what it's worth, my guess is that when this goes to the Commons, this has more chance of being upheld, that is, the amendment being upheld by the Commons, than probably, I'm sad to say, the European Citizens Bill. It's more likely there'll be a Tory revolt on this than anything else. Here's the point that I find so puzzling. The government said that by insisting Parliament would have a vote, they would weaken their bargaining position. But I recall that Mr. John Major brought the Maastricht Agreement to Parliament twice for their approval. If it didn't weaken his negotiating hand, why should it weaken the government's?
Isn't that the point? Many people think that Maastricht arrangement was quite weak for this country, and that's hardly a great example on your behalf.
No, on the contrary. Maastricht was a very good deal. It weakened his government, but it didn't weaken his negotiating hand. It didn't in any sense affect his negotiating hand. It was as strong as it ever was. Now, what they may be worried about is weakening the government. That's a different issue.
The sight of the House of Lords standing there, unelected. The Commons passed this by a huge majority.
Yeah, right.
And you're
That's what the House of Lords is for, Faisal. I may have voted against the House of Lords. I may want to see it. Exactly. We want exactly. We want to see an elected House of Lords. But while the government have refused to allow us to have an elected House of Lords, we have our duty to do, and we did it tonight.
You honestly think that's? How do you think you're going to be judged out in the country, having acted like that and used unelected peers that you don't even believe in?
We've given, in the end, the Commons, of course, can win, but we've given the Commons a chance to think again. That's the duty and role of the House of Lords, and we did it magnificently. And look at the number of Tories who voted with us, people like Michael Heseltine. Look, this is about the sovereignty of Parliament. The government Prime Minister was trying to get away without Parliament having a say. We've insisted they should. What else is democracy about? But
isn't the reality, though, it is all honing in on what happens if there's no deal at the end of the process?
That's certainly part of the argument, but there's a much more fundamental argument than that. The people have insisted, the High Court has confirmed that, the government wanted to get away without any debate in Parliament, the High Court had to tell them what their limits of power were in a democracy. Now the House of Lords has insisted that there shall be a proper vote in Parliament. What's that about? It's about all sorts of things, but at the heart of it is about asserting the sovereignty of Parliament. That's our job, and that's what we've done.
Why are you now going to vote effectively against the third reading? Why are you going to go back in there?
Because we did say, we made it very clear that if there was not to be a referendum, I'd have preferred a referendum of the people so that they could make a comment on the final deal. Not an in-out, we accept it's out, but a referendum on the final deal. If that wasn't there, if the people didn't have a say, this would be a defective bill and we wouldn't vote for it. Look, the government have abused the people's vote. They have hijacked the Brexit vote for the hardest debate. They've hijacked the Brexit referendum result for the hardest possible Brexit. The man that leaves us most distant for the European Union. They have no mandate for that whatsoever.
Well, they would argue for 2%, but I spy a Conservative MP here. Anna Soubry, please.
I'm going to disagree with both of you.
Please let her. I just played devil's advocate.
Can I just? No, I know. Can I just say you've got something rather badly wrong? The House of Commons voted overwhelmingly for us to leave the European Union, and we will leave the European Union. In relation to this amendment, the equivalent of it in the House of Commons was not passed overwhelmingly. It was passed, but it relied on some 7 or 8 Labour MPs to support the government, and Tories like me, I voted against my government because I absolutely agree with the arguments that Paddy has advanced. This is about parliamentary sovereignty. It's not about Brexit. Right. It's about making sure that Parliament I represent my constituents and the interests of my constituents, and they have a right to be heard, especially if we get no deal. And in that debate, and I listened to a large part of it, we heard Conservatives saying they want a hard Brexit. And forgive me, people had better wake up to the reality of what a hard Brexit would be. My constituents did not vote for a hard Brexit. The people of this country did not vote for a hard Brexit, and it would be so damaging for our country. We don't want it. But if we don't get a deal...
Some people want it. We don't know how many people.
Exactly. And that's why this place, in the event of no deal... Look, the PM has said... This place should work out what happens. The PM has said, if there's a deal, we have a vote. Him in his place, me in my place. That's good. So why can't we have a vote if there's no deal? Why? Because that's what they don't want, because they want a hard Brexit, and they don't want you...
Do you think some of your colleagues in the Conservative Party, potentially including ministers, are aiming for WTO terms?
Absolutely are. Make no mistake. Well, I think that if you look at it, we've had a cabal working in my party for a number of years who wanted us out of the EU. They've won. They've persuaded the people that we're going to leave the EU. They're now operating in government to give us the hard Brexit that people like Lord Lawson said he wants. Well, my constituents did not vote for a hard Brexit. They voted to leave the EU.
I'm just going to bring in Lady Basildon, but if you could just stay with us for no, and I think he had to go on.
First ever time, I'm perfectly happy to leave it to Anna.
Just confirm, you will be voting for this when it comes back to... Thank you very much, Lord Ashton.
What happens now is that this bill then comes back to the Commons with two pieces added. It's like a basket of fruit.
Okay.
So you've got a new piece in it, which is an orange, if you like, and you've got a very juicy fruit in it, which is what the Lords have just passed.
Yes.
And now the House of Commons decides whether or not to turf out those two new amendments or keep the whole. And what I will do is I will vote to keep in this amendment that the Lords have passed in accordance with my conscience. I don't know.
Okay. You think you've got a chance of...
Faisal, the real thing is that if enough Conservatives abstain, that will have the same effect.
Okay, Lady Basildon. Sorry. Sorry.
Can I now go, Faisal?
Tell me, yes, thank you very much.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.